There are pains that cannot be named, only felt through the heavy breath of each night spent awake alone. There are wounds that do not bleed on the skin, but flow inside the heart when you still live beside the one who once promised to protect you for life, but turns out to be the very one who makes you the loneliest in that very home. You once tried to endure until drained, holding all the hurt without daring to speak, because you were afraid they would be tired, afraid they would be bored, afraid this love would remain only one person clinging. And so, you fought alone against children, daily bread, sickness, emotions, and the invisible indifference growing larger with each day of co-living. Have you ever burst into tears right at the dining table because the one sitting across no longer knows you are sad? Have you ever wished you had not loved too much, had not sacrificed too much, so as not to hurt this much? Have you ever felt this relationship is like a life sentence, where you are the prisoner and the other is just a stranger living under the same roof? Love, when drained, is not noisy. It quietly drains your soul bit by bit, with silence, with indifference, with coldness, and you begin to doubt, did I choose the wrong person? Are what I am enduring signs of a failed marriage? But what if we say this? Those very sufferings are signs you are walking through a karmic door to step into a very great blessing, only that it is not yet time for you to see. Continue this journey of liberation in this video, because the next part will give you another view, deeper, more painful, but also the very first ray of light for those who are gradually despairing in the very love where they once placed their whole life. In Buddhist teachings, there is a saying that seems very gentle, but carries the weight of an entire lifetime. To meet is to have fate, to suffer is to repay karma. Each time hearing this, those who are happy may smile and nod, but those who are in a broken marriage, enduring daily coldness and wounds, will feel as if a needle pierces straight into the heart, because they are not simply meeting, they have loved, have married, have sacrificed, and then were betrayed, abandoned, neglected right in the very home they built. They do not just suffer a little, they suffer to the point of wanting to abandon themselves. But if we look deeply through the lens of cause and effect and karmic retribution, we will see no encounter in life is accidental, especially between two people who choose to bond in marriage. The Buddha taught husband and wife are fate, but fate of karma. It may be good fate, it may be debt fate, it may be the fate to resolve some spiritual debt from many past lives not yet settled. So when two people come together, it is not only to love, but to repay together, to learn together, and if enough awakening, to cultivate together. Through countless lifetimes drifting, we have once been father, mother, child, friend, lover of each other. Sometimes we once hurt them, so this life we must live together to learn how to love rightly. Sometimes we once abandoned them, so now they come to let us taste the feeling of being abandoned again. Sometimes we once owed them gratitude, so this life we must walk beside them, care for them, redeem what was incomplete. Each action, each emotion in that relationship is a thread stretching from seeds sown in the past. And because it is karma, it is not easy. Karma is not sweet, not dreamy. Karma is repeated situations that wound you, so you learn to look back at yourself. Karma is trials continuously arriving to test your patience and compassion. Karma is when you feel you have given too much, yet are still treated poorly, so that in the moment of falling to the bottom, you realize, turns out you have been living by expectation, not truly loving with a pure heart. Blessing, in the view of Buddhism, is not having a perfect person beside you. Blessing is when you have someone with enough karma to walk with you, enough trial to awaken you, and enough depth that when you overcome all, you then know what love is, what letting go is, and what cultivating is. Great blessings often come with great trials, because only souls with deep roots are given the hard lessons. Like in class, the excellent student is no longer taught simple calculations, but is given difficult problems for growth. In life, couples with great blessing often do not live peacefully from the start. They must repay karma to untie the knot of samsara. They must suffer to learn how to love without hurting. They must endure to realize love is not possession, but companionship in awakening. So if you are suffering in your very marriage, do not quickly conclude it is a mistake. Perhaps it is a debt being repaid. Perhaps you are in the middle of a journey of repay, cultivate, resolve that you once vowed to bear from many past lives. Perhaps that person came not to give you happiness immediately, but to make you shatter. Then from there, learn again how to love, not by expectation, but by compassion. Marriage is not a reward for those who love well. Marriage is a practice ground where two people clash to the core of ego. Then, if enough fate, will together let go of self, keep compassion, and open a bright bond. And if you are going through days of fatigue, loneliness, pain in your own relationship, pause a bit. Do not leave quickly. Perhaps you are at the beginning of a journey of transforming karma into blessing. And perhaps, if you patiently continue, you will see light on the other side of the wound. In the next part, we will go deeper into each sign, the sufferings that seem to be killing love, but in fact are signs of a couple with great blessing. If they overcome, they not only resolve karma, but also open long-lasting merit for this life and the lives after. Sign 1. The closer, the more hurt. The further, the more missing. Thao and Hung used to be the couple admired by all friends. Their love lasted 6 years before leading to marriage. On the wedding day, Thao wore a simple white dress. Tears fell from emotion because she believed, "This is the one I will walk with for life." Yet, only after 2 years of living together, conflicts began to appear. No one had an affair. No big event happened. It was only small things. The way he placed the towel, the way she cooked, the careless words, the times he came home late without texting, the moments she felt lonely but no one noticed. And so, from arguments, they became two people silently living under the same roof. No longer the morning hugs, no longer the conversations about future dreams. They lived like two shadows, close in body but far in soul. And then, one day, Thao gathered all her courage, wrote a handwritten letter, left it on the table. "I am tired. I need to breathe alone for some time." She moved back to her mother's house. The first days, she felt relieved, as if freed. But by the third week, lying in her old room, staring at the ceiling, she burst into tears. She did not understand why, in all the wounds she had received, she still remembered the way Hung once tiptoed to turn off the fan for her every night. Remembered his eyes each time he looked at their child sleeping. Remembered even his sigh after a long day of work when he said nothing. As for Hung, a man not used to showing feelings. From the day she left, each night he sat alone on the balcony, not speaking, not eating, not sleeping. A man once strong facing financial hardships, now only silent before the softest, most lingering pain. The absence of the wife who once stood by his side. Their story is not rare. There are many couples. The closer they live, the more they hurt each other. But when apart, they feel strangely aching. Why is it so? Because deep inside, they do not hate each other. They just do not know how to love each other healthily. They love with expectation, with ego, with unhealed beliefs from the past. They came together not only to be happy, but to heal the wounds both carried from many lifetimes. That is deep karmic fate, not to escape, but to transform. When you are near someone whose soul is karmically linked to yours, all your deepest wounds are easily triggered. A word of theirs can make you cry. An unintentional act of theirs can make you feel abandoned again, not only by them, but by all who once hurt you before. The closer, the more mirrored. The closer, the more you must face the darkness within yourself. And therefore, that closeness sometimes brings fatigue, pain, suffocation, to the point one only wants to leave. But strangely, when apart, the hurt is no longer. Then the missing arises, because the souls are still connected by a thread. Because deep in the heart we know that person is not bad, not cruel, only that both have not yet learned how to walk together without hurting each other. The Buddha taught, when karmic obstacles are still heavy, even a good person makes you sorrowful. When your heart is already pure, even a bad person cannot make you suffer. So the solution is not leaving, but cultivating from within. Cultivating in married life is the hardest lesson, but also the lesson that opens the brightest path. Not everyone has the fate to live with someone who hurts them, yet still wants to stay to heal. But if you are in that situation, do not quickly let go. Try to pause, not to leave, but to learn together how to love, how to speak, how to breathe, how to live with compassion and understanding. Remember, if you ever felt pain when close, but shed tears when apart, that is not a wrong relationship. That may be the clearest sign of a very deep bond, a karmic thread inviting you into the journey of transformation. And if you are brave enough not to run, to cultivate together, then that relationship is not only suffering, but will become a great blessing in your life. In the next part, we will come to the second sign, when two people constantly conflict, but still cannot leave. Is it blind love? Or is it an unfinished karmic debt? Let us explore together. Sign 2. Endless conflicts, but cannot leave each other. There are couples who live together for 10 years, 20 years, or even a lifetime, but never once have a month of complete peace. Every day is quarrels, every week is conflicts. From small things like meals, market money, raising children, to big things like life direction, values, responsibility toward both families. Anyone looking in says, why not divorce and make it easier? But strangely, they, the very ones who seem exhausted by each other, still cannot leave each other. Each time it seems about to end, something holds them back. It may be the eyes of their child, a sudden illness, a hand reaching out at an unexpected moment, or sometimes no clear reason at all, just simply not able to. My once shared, my husband is hot-tempered, patriarchal, and selfish. We have been married for over 12 years, but the happy days cannot be counted on my fingers. Every time I think of divorce, I feel lighter. But strangely, each time he is sick, each time he comes home exhausted and curls up in the corner of the bed, I feel pity. I cannot explain it. Sometimes I hate him to the bone, yet I am still the one cooking porridge for him, still the one placing the towel on his forehead. I once tried leaving, but within less than 3 days I came back. So what is holding them in a marriage that seems to be only conflicts? The answer lies in the depth of karmic fate. In Buddhism, there is a type of fate called karmic enemies. Those who once hurt each other in past lives now meet again to resolve. No one comes into our life only to make us suffer, but to help us complete some lesson that our soul once left unfinished. It may be to learn forgiveness. It may be to learn how to love without controlling. It may be to learn how to let go of ego and expectations. And such deep lessons cannot be learned in a single day. So the other stays, like a mirror, reflecting the dark corners in our hearts we have never dared to face. Endless conflicts are not always sure signs of a toxic relationship. Sometimes they are only the resistance of two egos that have not yet learned how to communicate, have not yet learned how to walk together without hurting each other. When one has been deeply hurt in the past, they are easily sensitive, reactive, explosive. When one has been controlled, they resist all advice. And so, two people, appearing to quarrel about meals, are in fact fighting with their own unhealed wounds inside. They are not angry at each other. They are angry at the past, angry at themselves, angry at what has not yet been soothed in their consciousness. And because deep inside they still love, still care, still hold a karmic bond not yet cut, they cannot leave. Even if they shout, "I am tired, I have nothing left to hold. I want to go far away. After all, they still sit back down, still stay beside each other on the stormiest days. Perhaps no longer hand in hand, but still side by side. Perhaps no longer saying love, but still cooking for each other. Still raising children together. Still silently caring without speaking. If you are in such a relationship, understand, this is not punishment. This is an opportunity. An opportunity to look back at yourself. An opportunity to cultivate. The Buddha taught, the greatest enemy in life is oneself. And in marriage, your spouse is the one who helps you face yourself most clearly. If you want stability, you need to understand. If you want peace, you need to let go of unnecessary expectations. Marriage is not a place to fight right or wrong, but a place to learn how to yield with compassion, to learn how to speak without wounding, to learn how to stay without losing yourself. The solution does not lie in who is right, who is wrong. The solution lies in cultivating in daily life. It is learning to breathe deeply when angry. It is knowing when to keep silent, when to speak kindly. It is remembering the other is also suffering, also fighting with things they cannot yet name. And you, if you have enough love and awakening, can be the first to calm the fire burning both. If one day you suddenly realize, amid countless conflicts, there is still something keeping both together, then believe that is not only duty, but deep karmic bond. And if you are brave enough not to run, generous enough to see each other with a kind heart, then that marriage, even if it began with suffering, can still end with light. In the next part, we will come to a sign even more painful, when one tries with all their might, while the other is indifferent, careless. Yet why can they still not let go of each other? Is that karma or is it love? And how to keep yourself in such an unbalanced relationship? Let us listen together. Sign 3. One tries, one lets go, yet still stay together. There is a kind of relationship that hurts more than betrayal. That is when you still try to hold, to nurture, to mend, but the other has already grown indifferent, loosened, and quietly withdrawn bit by bit. They do not leave you immediately, but they leave in silence, with eyes no longer looking at you as before, with nods just to pass by, with suffocating silences when you try to start a conversation. They are still there, under the same roof, at the same table, but their soul has long gone. And you still persist, still cook, still wash, still keep small habits, just hoping one day they will return with the same heart as in the beginning. And you keep loving until drained, without anyone responding. Hien, a woman of 43 years, once shared through tears, "I have held my husband with all my heart, even though he was cold, indifferent, even though in a whole year he never spoke to me in a kind sentence. I still stayed, because I still loved it. I believed if I were patient enough, sacrificing enough, he would realize. But year after year, what I received was only lifeless eyes. He did not go, but he did not stay either. He did not betray, but he did not love anymore. I lived with a husband, but as if living beside a soul already gone." Daz. Hien's story is a silent tragedy that many are facing. One keeps holding, the other quietly lets go, yet neither truly leaves. From outside, they are still a family, but inside are two parallel worlds, no longer intersecting. And the most painful thing is, the one who stays with a heart full of cracks still asks every day, "Where am I wrong? Where am I not good enough? Why does he not love anymore?" In Buddhism, this is a clear sign of a karmic bond not yet resolved. Someone comes to you not to love in a romantic way, but to teach you the lesson of letting go. There are relationships born not to be kept, but to help you learn how to release at the right time. But because we do not understand, we cling, believing if we try a little more, sacrifice a little more, everything will be fine. But you do not know The more you try, if not in the right way, the more exhausted you become, and the other, already not staying with heart, becomes even heavier, seeing the stubbornness they no longer wish to accept. When one lets go but does not leave, perhaps because they are not decisive enough. But when one tries but does not dare to leave, perhaps because they are trading even their dignity to hold on to something already dead. That is no longer love. That is a form of soul imprisonment, trapping both in a swamp of emotions. And if no one dares to face it, no one dares to be honest with their heart, that life will only be endless endurance with no end. The Buddha taught, knowing how to let go at the right time is wisdom. Knowing how to keep in the right way is compassion. But most of us only know how to keep without knowing how to keep right. We think love means holding tightly, but the truth is, love also needs to breathe, needs respect, and needs mutual support from both sides. If only one builds while the other keeps breaking, then the building of marriage will sooner or later collapse. If only one loves while the other is indifferent, then that love is only a monologue full of tears. So what is the solution? Is it to let go? Not that leaving immediately solves it, but to return to yourself. Ask your heart again, do I still love, or only love the illusion of that person from the past? Do I still want to stay for love, or because I fear loneliness? Do I hold because I hope they change, or because I do not dare to face the pain of rejection? And if you can answer all those questions in awakening, you will know whether to go on or to stop. Not because of blame, but because of compassion for yourself. Not everyone who leaves is a failure, and not everyone who stays is strong. What matters is, are you still living true to your heart? Do you still feel peace in the presence of the other? If not, then do not kill yourself in a one-sided love. Remember, the Buddha did not teach us to endure suffering. The Buddha taught us to understand suffering, to transcend suffering. In the next part, we will go deeper into a turning point, when a broken marriage forces you to learn how to cultivate, if you wish to continue, when suffering itself becomes the driving force for practice, transformation, and salvation, not only of the relationship, but of your very soul. Because there are people without the suffering of marriage who would never know the path of inner cultivation. Sign 4. Suffering to the point of having to learn cultivation to keep the marriage. There is a threshold of suffering in marriage where people have no choice but to learn how to cultivate. Not cultivation in the temple, not shaving the head or entering a hermitage, but cultivation in daily life, amid the cries of children, amid hurtful words, amid the cold silence like ice from the one beside you. It is cultivated when you wake in the middle of the night, seeing the one beside you turning their back, and knowing, if you do not turn inward to resolve yourself, this relationship will collapse at any moment. Yen once confided, 15 years married, there has not been a year when I did not want divorce. But each time I wanted to let go, I looked at the children, then thought of what we once went through together. I could not. But staying was suffering. Suffering to the point I sought the Buddha. At first, I only prayed for him to change. But gradually, I realized, if I do not change first, then wishing for others to change is meaningless. It was precisely the suffering in marriage that led Yen to bow to the Buddha each dawn, while husband and children still slept. It was the reason she learned to be silent at the right time, learned not to retaliate with words, learned to breathe deeply each time anger rose to the point of wanting to smash. Marriage, once thought to be where people find peace, became the practice ground for Yen to cultivate little by little, cultivating speech, cultivating mind, cultivating temper. Each time her husband became angry without reason, she no longer cried. She only bowed to the Buddha, dedicating merit for him, for herself, for all the invisible wounds both carried, but did not yet know how to heal. Not everyone entering marriage thinks one day they must learn cultivation to hold on to the other. but life is such. When blessing has thinned, when karma has ripened, when both carry wounds from the past, then living together is no longer easy. And when there is no other way out without further hurting, we must turn inward. That is when the path of cultivation begins. Cultivating in marriage is a deep and hardest kind of cultivation, because the one who makes you suffer is not a stranger, but the one you once loved most, the one who knows your weakest points most, the one who once made you believe, "I will be happy for life." No. And now, that very person makes you learn again from the start. Learn how to love without expectations. Learn how to give without resentment. Learn how to be silent, not to suppress, but to keep inner peace. In Buddhism, it is taught, family is the first practice ground of cultivation. It is not by chance you married that person. It is not by chance you gave birth in that circumstance. All are opportunities for you to cultivate amid daily life. And the truth is, there are people without suffering in marriage who would never know awakening. They only know to blame, to resent, to resist, until there is no way back. It is then they finally sit down, finally bow, finally see their tears fall not because of pain, but because of understanding. Understanding that not everyone who makes us suffer deserves blame. Many times, they are only the mirror reflecting the unhealed part inside us. The other is hot, perhaps because we once were hot. The other is indifferent, perhaps because we once were careless. The other is cold, perhaps because we once placed expectations in the wrong place. When you turn inward to look at your mind, you will see. Marriage is the greatest opportunity to see clearly the karma you are carrying. And when you cultivate, you not only transform yourself, but also transform the karma of the whole family. There are wives who, after practicing for some time, the husband changes, the children shift karma, the family gradually calms, not because they had magic, but because the energy of cultivation spread, touched, silently reached the one beside. No word can reach deeper than the energy of calmness. No argument can move more than compassion from an awakened heart. If you are in a marriage where suffering forces you to cultivate, do not see it as misfortune. Be grateful, because perhaps that is the very door to liberation. Perhaps the one who made you shed the most tears is the one who helps you step to a higher level of love and awakening. In the next part, we will step into the last sign, but also the most sacred sign, when you hurt to the extreme, but instead of blaming, "Why do you not need me anymore?" you begin to ask instead, "Why do I not need myself?" That is the moment love becomes a return, not to keep the other, but to save yourself. Sign 5. When hurt to the extreme, you begin to look at them with compassion. There is a moment in the journey of love suffering when you no longer have strength to blame, no more tears to shed, no more why questions to seek an answer. You are silent, but it is not the silence of despair. It is an acceptance deep from within. It is when you no longer want to argue right or wrong, no longer want them to apologize, no longer wait for a hug, a caring word, a turn back. You look at them, the one who once hurt you to the extreme, with a different gaze. Not the gaze of the betrayed, not the gaze of the disadvantaged, but the gaze of a soul that has absorbed the painful lesson and has begun to know how to love with compassion. Hang, a woman who had lived more than 20 years in a loveless marriage, once said, "At first I was very angry at him. Why so indifferent? Why never notice what I think, what I feel? I once wanted to leave many times, but one day, when I saw him sitting blank after a mild stroke, hands trembling, unable to hold a glass of water, suddenly my heart softened. El anger dissolved. I no longer saw myself as the one suffering. I only saw him also as a soul full of wounds, lost in this life. I cooked porridge, fed him spoon by spoon, not because I still loved it as before, but because I felt compassion. when you hurt to the extreme yet still choose to stay, when you no longer want to teach them a lesson but only wish they suffer less, then that is when compassion arises in you. That is a level of feeling higher than love, higher even than sacrifice, because love still desires return. Sacrifice still desires recognition, but compassion is love without expectation. It is accepting them as they are. It is compassion for the unhealed part in them, the part that made them hurt others without awareness. In Buddhism, compassion is the foundation to transcend suffering. It is not forgiving others because they deserve, but because you yourself need healing. When you continue to blame, your heart is tied to them forever, like a rope of fire, tightening, burning. But when you look at them with compassion, you are no longer the one hurt. You are the one letting go of pain. You step to a higher level, where you do not need anyone to change for you to be at peace, because you have enough peace within. This does not mean you must live forever in a suffering marriage. But if one day you feel you can leave without blame, stay without expectation, then that is when you truly understand the lesson this relationship brought. You may still choose divorce. You may still choose to step out. But if that decision is made in peace, in understanding and compassion, then that is true liberation, not escape. Because in this life, everyone carries unhealed parts. Your spouse too. They may not have the capacity to love you as you wished. They may be indifferent, harsh, cold, not because they do not need you, but because they do not know how to need someone without hurting. And you, if you have gone through suffering to the extreme and still can say, "I feel compassion for you," even though you never understood me, then you are no longer just a wife, a husband, a lover, but a cultivator in love, one who has dissolved a part of karma right in that relationship. Some people must go through the extreme of pain to begin cultivation. Some people must fall to the bottom of despair to find the light of compassion. And if you are at that stage, where there are no more tears, no more anger, only a quiet, generous love without need of reply, then congratulations. You have passed one of the greatest gates of karmic love. You are no longer bound by them. You no longer live in resentment, but are living in the Dharma. In the next part, we will contemplate and summarize these signs to understand more clearly the path of transforming suffering into blessing. Because if you have gone through these 5 signs, then perhaps you are not only maintaining marriage, but saving your soul itself. With the light of awakening and the deepest compassion, perhaps after passing through these 5 signs, you will realize a profound truth. Not every suffering in marriage means the wrong person. Not every divorce means liberation. And not every endurance means submission. Sometimes, the one who hurts you most is the very one who helps you see most clearly the unhealed part within yourself. The one who makes you suffer, not necessarily because they are evil, but because you and they, in this karmic bond, are being invited to face, to untie, to transform. But no matter how painful, no matter how much suffering, without awakening, all will only be a repeated cycle of samsara. Looking back at each sign, you will see a very clear journey. From the hurt when being close, where 2 souls, seemingly in love, hurt each other until drained, to endless quarrels yet cannot leave, as if a debt unpaid, then to the state of one trying, one letting go, yet still staying for something unnamed, and finally, when hurt to the extreme, no more blame, only looking with compassion. That is not only the manifestation of a painful marriage, but layers of doors, step by step leading you inward, because blessing often hides suffering. Only those who cultivate can open it. Blessing is not having someone love you forever. Blessing is not always a home full of laughter. But blessing sometimes is someone with enough karma coming to you, to go through suffering with you, to break with you, to cry with you, to struggle with you. And if fate allows, to awaken with you, the one who makes you understand that love is learning to let go of ego, is stepping back so the other can breathe, is accepting even their wounds without losing yourself. When you suffer in marriage, the first question to ask is not, are they wrong? But, what lesson is this relationship teaching me? Perhaps it is the lesson of patience, but not patience to endure, patience to illuminate. Perhaps it is the lesson of letting go, but not letting go to leave, letting go of expectations, letting go of the unchangeable, letting go of illusions of perfect love. Perhaps it is the lesson of compassion, when you realize, forgiving is not for them to be light, but for yourself to be at peace. Some leave marriage because they have truly awakened, not because they no longer love, but because they cannot continue feeding a bond already drained of blessing, and they leave in calmness. But some stay, not because of fear, but because they have enough insight not to cling to outside changes. They stay, not expecting the other to change, but quietly cultivating themselves, sending good energy each day, bowing to the Buddha, dedicating merit for them each night. And then the miracle happens. Without quarrels, without promises, the other gradually transforms. Because when you cultivate in silence, karma dissolves without any struggle. Many ask, how to know if I am in a karmic marriage or a blessed one? The answer is, there is no clear boundary. A marriage full of karma, if both cultivate, will become a blessing. A marriage thought to be a blessing, if only blaming, will turn into a shackle. Therefore, the important thing is not, what is this marriage, but who are you in this marriage? And are you the one demanding, expecting, wanting them to change to fit you? Or are you the one brave enough to look at the darkness in your own heart, to understand, to love, to transform? Are you the one bringing ego into every quarrel? Or are you the one who knows to yield a step, not to lose, but to protect greater happiness? There is a truth only cultivators understand. Love is not held by clinging, but by the light of awakening. No one can hold anyone forever. No one can guarantee to love you for life. But if you have light within, you will be the place they want to return to. That light does not come from outer beauty, nor perfection, but from understanding, calmness, compassion. You do not need to say much, just be present in calmness. That is enough for them to see what they lack. Awakening in marriage is not easy, because many times you want to let go, because many times you feel foolish trying alone. But remember, every effort in awakening is never in vain. A patience today may be a peaceful family tomorrow. A moment of sitting down instead of leaving may be the only chance to mend something about to break. Awakening is not submission. Awakening is daring to realize this relationship is no longer suitable and leaving gently. Awakening is knowing where the boundary is, where compassion is, and where to stop not to lose yourself. Awakening is not hastily cutting off, but not clinging either. Awakening is letting go while still loving, leaving while still dedicating. No more hatred, no more craving. If you have come this far in the journey, it means you are very near the light already. You are no longer the one hurt as before. You are maturing, you are healing, and you are rekindling yourself. Marriage is a practice of Dharma, and you, if walking rightly, can turn it from a shackle into a path of liberation. The Buddha never said marriage is bad. The Buddha only taught living in life, whether love, work, or family. Without awakening, you suffer. But if you shine awareness, then everywhere is a practice ground. So, if today you suffer because of someone, do not quickly blame them. Be still. Ask your heart, what is this bond teaching me? If still enough love, learn how to love rightly. If fate is already drained, leave in peace. And if you do not know whether to hold or to let go, then first, hold on to yourself. In the next video, we will step into a new door, deeper, brighter, to explain why some people, the more they love, the more they suffer, yet still cannot leave. Is that a sign of a bond not yet ended? And how to resolve it without carrying that pain into the next life? Remember, suffering is not to torment, but to awaken. Marriage is not to hold, but to cultivate. And true love is not staying out of fear of losing, but because you have found yourself in the other. Dear friend, if you are suffering in marriage, do not rush to leave, because perhaps the one you want to leave today is the very one blessedly coming to help you repay a spiritual debt unfinished from past lives. Not everyone who comes and hurts us is an enemy, and not everyone who makes us laugh truly brings happiness. Some come into our life not to indulge, but to awaken, not to make you comfortable, but to make you aware, so that through each stumble, each disappointment, you begin to reflect back on yourself, realizing where is ego, where is expectation, where is compassion, and where is what should be released. If one day you realize you have lived many years with them in blame, in endurance, in struggle, but in the end learn to breathe slowly, to speak gently, to live kindly, then please do not call it misfortune. Call it an opportunity. Opportunity to cultivate, opportunity to understand, opportunity to resolve old karma with new light. Because perhaps you once hurt them in some past life, and now the universe arranged for both to meet again, not to punish, but to relearn how to love rightly. A love no longer demands, but a journey of transformation, where each day together is each day illuminating yourself. If you once thought you married the wrong person, but then realized that very person helped you cultivate more than anyone, please leave a sharing in the comments. Perhaps someone needs to hear your story to save a bond on the edge of collapse. Deep experiences, turning points full of tears, if told with a kind heart, will be lights for many lost souls. Because sometimes one line you write can save a family on the verge of breaking. One heartfelt sharing can move a heart thinking of leaving. And perhaps you will also find relief for yourself when daring to look back at your journey with compassion and awakening. And if what you hear in this video touches you, please do not hesitate to subscribe to Hoa Kwadao channel, not to support a YouTube channel, but so that each week you have support, a silence, a bright door opening amid weary days. Because healing does not come in one listen. No awakening is instant, but a journey, steady, silent, step by step, in pain but not collapsing, in tears but still growing. This channel was born not to teach you how to live, but to sit with you, to listen, to breathe deeply, and to see. You are not alone. Return within. Choose healing instead of blame. Walk step by step in awakening, so that one day you not only keep marriage, but also keep the light of your soul. And remember, marriage is a practice ground, the other is the mirror, and you are the cultivator in life. If you can cultivate, you not only change destiny, but also open a deep blessing path for your whole family.